Has this ever happened to you? You shift into your big chain ring, and just as you're shifting, your chain falls off. Well, it feels like it's a disaster, but it's something that's fairly easy to fix. And in fact, often while you're riding, you can even shift your chain with a little bit of care back onto your chain ring, like that. The reason that your chain may dump on the outside of your big chain ring when you shift is usually because the front derailleur limit screws aren't adjusted correctly, and the chain is being forced to shift beyond the limit of the big chain ring. There is a very simple way of making adjustments to limit how far the front derailleur will shift. Those controls are the limit screws on the front derailleur. Let's start by aligning the front derailleur. The first step in aligning the front derailleur is to make sure that the height of the front derailleur is correct. So first of all, make sure that the cable is not connected, because the cable will limit the position of the front derailleur, and adjust the front derailleur so that we have about 1 millimeter of clearance between the outer cage of the front derailleur and the top teeth of the chainring. If that's not the case and you have to raise or lower it, there's an anchor bolt that attaches your front derailleur. If it has a braze on, it's adjusted by loosening off this Allen bolt, and you can raise or lower the cage to the correct height. But simply you want it as close as possible to the teeth without actually hitting those teeth. And make sure that the cage is actually parallel to the teeth on the outer chain ring. This cage should be in the same plane as the big chain ring. The next thing is to anchor the cable and pull the cable nice and tight. There are 2 limit screws that control the limits to the position of the front derailleur. The high limit screw limits the outermost position of the front derailleur. When I turn this screw clockwise, it shifts the limit closer in to the front chain ring. When I turn this counterclockwise, it extends the outer limit so that the front derailleur can shift further out. The low limit screw, which is the inner one, limits the shifting position of the front derailleur on the inside. It limits how far the front derailleur will shift to the inside of the small chainring. Shift it out, but don't overshift it. And then what I'm going to do is now overshift. You can see that overshift would dump the chain. So I'm now going to tighten the limit screw, limiting how far the chain will go to that outside. And there we have it. Okay. Can no longer dump the chain no matter how hard I push on the shift lever. Try it again, test, and it's fine. So that's the outer limit screw. The inner limit screw is adjusted in just the same way. However, it's best done with the cable unanchored. Has this ever happened to you? And the chain just falls right off on the inside of the big cog on the back of the wheel. The reason that happens is that the derailleur is misaligned. The limit screw, or in this case, the low limit screw, is adjusted so that the shifter can shift too far to the inside, dumping the chain. It's a simple adjustment to fix that. As I tighten the limit screw, you can see the derailleur cage moving inwards, limiting my shift. And then let's test that. Okay. Make sure that I can't dump the chain in, and it's fine. Great. So that's all there is to it. It's the same kind of adjustment if it's dumping on the inside of the small cog on the back wheel. Just simply adjust the high limit screw so that it prevents the chain from dumping on the inside of the small cog.